tarehe 9 Disemba mimi nitatangaza. Bado nauliza swali, naangalia majeshi yangu kama wamejiandaa vizuri vilivyo, kama wana bunduki na risasi. Ndio maana mimi naangalia kama wako tayari, na mimi nitaangalia.
All right. That is Raila Odinga, who was speaking in the tour of the city. Well, Senator Lekina and Governor Kimeme, they actually never took a break. They've been going on with the conversation around KEMSA, but I've told them that because we need to make progress in time for this, we'll carry on. The conversation will continue.
Allow 20 seconds.
He's a friend of mine.
No, I will not give you 20 seconds.
You know, Governor Kimeme is a very good friend of mine. He's also my neighbor in
20 seconds in political time is not
exactly 20 seconds, because so, we are very clear in terms of what the government needs to do. We actually gave recommendation on specific persons who should be investigated, not the 900. And I'll give you the names. The names were Jonah Manjari. There was a gentleman called Charles Juma, who was a director of procurement. There was a gentleman called Eliud Moreithi, director of commercial services. There was a gentleman called Mr. Frederick Wanyonyi, who is a director of legal services, director of operation KEMSA, director of finance and strategic KEMSA. Those are the names we gave to be investigated. Why then do you want to kill the dream of 900 Kenyans, young Kenyans?
I wish we could get those answers, because we understand that the DPP and the DC and the EACC are still working on that file. But let's now focus on what just happened over the weekend. The Raila Odinga was making this statement just a day after a visit of Nyandarua County, and he was received by, for the very first time, we saw Cabinet Secretary Cicely Kariuki on the entourage. Listen.
Viazi inatoka hapa, mboga inatoka hapa, maziwa inatoka hapa. Umesema haitakikani iwe ati kuna shida ya barabara, kuna shida ya maji, kuna shida ya stima. Haya yote tunataka kutatua. Tumesema tunataka kila mtoto anazaliwa katika taifa letu apate fursa sawa kuanzia nursery, primary, secondary. Kuanzia mwaka ujao, kila jamii ambaye hawana mapato watakuwa kila mwezi anapata shilingi 6,000 kutoka kwa serikali.
Hata baba akichelewa, akikuja nyumbani, kila mtu anajua baba amefika.
Kiona mama amesindikisha baba, kumekujwa.
Raila oye! Baba oye! Raila tosha! Nasema ati siwezi kupanda mlima. Baba ni tingatinga. Baba ni tingatinga. Tingatinga na wheelbarrow gani ambaye anaweza kupanda mlima zaidi?
All right. I think we made a mistake by putting Senator Lekina and Governor Kimeme together, because every time they get an opportunity, they continue their conversation. But you are the host of Raila Odinga in Nyandarua over the weekend. I believe it was on Saturday.
Yes.
What was that like? And now he says that he's going to declare whether he's running on the 9th of December. But what have you learned? Because we spoke to Moses Kuri and he says that don't believe numbers you see in rallies. That's just 10% of the voters. You might be surprised when you find what 90% has been thinking all along.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank the people of Nyandarua County for turning out in very large numbers to come and support Baba and to listen to him. We asked them, let him come, let him sell his manifesto, let him sell his ideas, let him tell us what he wants to do for Nyandarua, for the mountain, for Kenya. We are one country. And I want to thank, the turnout. And you can see the huge turnout was from all the sectors, from the children who are, not in school that day, to the men and women and adults, the youth. Everybody turned up, and in very, very large numbers. I've personally not seen such turnouts in the past. Those were very, very, very huge turnouts. And as we started from Laikipia, and we told this nation, the mountain is shaking, and the mountain is changing, and the mountain is ready for a later climb of the mountain. And he has come, and he has proved that he's going to climb the mountain. And, he put it very well. He said, a tinga can climb a mountain better some other equipment. So I don't want to. So I think we need to appreciate that things are changing. Things are changing. Initially we had one option. Now there is another option that has come and is tilting the the balance in the political the political balance in the country. And I think the rest is for us to watch history. But I can assure you, those people who turned up in their own volition. They want to listen to Baba, and they want to see where he will take this country. Yes.
And Senator Linturi, a lot of activity has been happening in Mount Kenya region, especially from the two sides of Deputy President William Ruto and Raila Odinga, but also the One Kenya Alliance, including an image that you've seen of a rally under the Githurai Bridge. What is this? And as the region plans to make a decision in the coming days, what are we learning about the aspirations of the people and what direction it will take come next year?
Allow me just say as it is, because I come from the mountain. And the mountain people have taken a position. Number one, they are aware and they know that the candidature Raila Odinga has lost that feel, that traction from the public to be a crusader of the right of the downtrodden, the less fortunate, and agitator for good governance. That one is now lost. And since he joined the handshake, so much has really happened against him because, the opposition died, and the corruption that has taken place in government and which is subsisting cannot now come out strongly because he decided to dine with the corrupt.
Who are the corrupt here?
Yeah?
Who are the corrupt?
The system that is now, KEMSA is run by, we all think KEMSA is corrupt. These scandals have taken place.
What is the place of Raila Odinga at KEMSA, really?
I'm trying to explain to you what has happened in the mountain and why the mountain people are taking a position is because they believe the Raila that he used to be a defender of the rights of the public has now joined the government, which is now being seen to be corrupt. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. And now, for that particular reason, they have taken him to be a government project. A government project that must be sown or must be swallowed through the throat by force by use of the people that have executive authority. And that is why it's being regarded as a government project, because you realize those that are pushing his candidature are governors, are CSs, and you've seen Kariuki. Unfortunately, I don't understand whether she understands what the Constitution and the Public Officers and Ethics Act require of her. And all the other governors that are around there. And the reason is this, Sam. Sam, we've just concluded that conversation from KEMSA.
Right.
It's because the governors have been intimidated, they have been threatened, and just like we say, right? If you are to go into a bathroom now and take a shower, and somebody was to come and scrub your body, we'll always find some elements of that. So because of the offices that they owned and the nature of transactions that they've been doing, they are a friend of EACC, they are a friend of DCI, and everybody else. So I'm just telling them, unless you take that position of faith and know this is what I need to do for the people, they will be swept away with the Babas and the others, because the Raia now have come and have sinned. We have known this is the position, and people are trying to defend their own selfish interests because of the misdeeds that they did or they have done when they're in government. That is the turning point of the Mount Kenya region, and that's why there's more downtrodden people that are only finding hope in a candidature of William Ruto, who they think now, because he was kicked out of government and he has no assigned responsibilities and is able to come up with a proposal, then down the bottom-up economic model, which addresses their aspirations, are now permanently with him. And they're strongly with him. Some of us have been serious victims of state conspiracy. We've gone through hell. So many things have happened. By the way, when I left this place here on Monday, and when I spoke, by Wednesday, my accounts were frozen by KRA. They have used the wrong means Because I've told you, ukitafuta uchafu utakosa.
Frozen for what?
No, payment of tax. So this is what I'm telling you. So if Gememia is afraid of being told you've not paid this tax or this amount of money or that, even whether that is true or not, you will not want to get into that line. So for those that do not mind, and because freedom as a price that you must always pay, we will stand by the truth.
Senator Linturi, for the sake of the view, because you just said something which is pretty interesting there, that your accounts are frozen on Wednesday after leaving the show here, and it's for the reason of payment of
I was not here on Wednesday.
I said they were frozen on Wednesday after a show which you attended on Monday. That's what I mean. And you said that it's in regards to tax payment. Have you evaded tax, or do you have tax arrears that you haven't cleared?
I pay taxes. Let me tell you, I pay taxes, and I can't tell you, because this is not where, you know, tax issues are personal. I'm just telling or trying to demonstrate to the country the levels of intimidation. EACC won't be used, DCI won't be used, and finally, if you don't bounce, even EACC, KRI won't be used. So I'm trying to tell you...
It is a personal issue, but you raised it, so that the viewer is not left with the wrong perception.
I have raised it. If you want,
but also,
so that
Chairman,
you understand, so that you understand the manner in which people get intimidated.
If you can avoid personalizing or criminalizing institutions, if KRA comes to me because I don't pay tax, I think we should not bring them. Let's not scandalize our institutions in this country. Let's respect our institutions.
Okay.
If he has saying he has paid tax, he'll go and prove he has paid tax.
All right, Governor.
So I think it's good we hold, because we are elected leaders.
All right, Governor. Senator, let's clear the air.
What I'm trying to
because
bring...
you said that you've been unfairly targeted by KRA.
No. You know that we will not discuss issues of tax. This is not the first time they have done it, and we have settled. We've continued doing that. But I am telling you, if these institutions, the ones that you call are independent, can never and are not independent, including the DPP himself. That office is not independent, including EACC. That is why you find, in fact, I've always referred to that office as the holding of the high-octane files, which will never see the light of day as long as some things are taking place. And for that, I want you, time will vindicate me. If you were to ask, and Olekina will tell you, when we called for the CR12, the CR12 for the companies that did business in Kemsa, you realize that there are people in very serious offices, powerful, senior Jubilee operatives.
Senator,
so when we are trying to say the state will intimidate people in different ways, and the governors and the ministers that serve must sell a project because they are afraid of intimidation and blackmail. That is what I mean.
Senator, I hate to stop you from making your points.
Please stop me now.
But also don't go off topic.
Okay.
Let's listen to Deputy President. Yes.
Okay.
This is the cue.
Oh.
Let's listen to the Deputy President. He spoke somewhere earlier last week on a campaign to listen.
Kila mmoja wenu wako na chama yake ya kabila yake. Alafu mnatuambia mnataka tuunganishe Kenya. How are we going to unite the country when each one of you is carrying their tribal party around? Mimi naambia hawa wadosi, badala ya kuzunguka kila mtu wako na chama yake, waende wajipange watafute candidate. Alafu wajipange watafute chama kama hii yetu ya UDA ya kitaifa, wawachane na chama ya kabila hii na kabila ile, na watafute agenda kama hii yetu ya bottom up, alafu wakuje kwa kiwanja tushindane.
I mean, Senator, look, so many people attending these meetings, and shortly we'll also be looking at what has been going on with the One Kenya Alliance, and Kenyans are listening, trying to sift through the message. In the end, what counts?
First of all, before I can respond to that, let me just weigh in a little bit with what my two colleagues were talking about. Number one, I'm looking forward for the 9th of December, because I know this country will get a president who will be able to care for the people, you know, across every single ethnic group, whether minority or majority. Number two, it is not true that the opposition has died. I sit here as a member of ODM, and I'm fighting the issue of KEMSA. If the opposition has died, you know, then I would not have been discussing those issues in defense of the poor people. So I'm actually standing in and doing my job. Number three, Raila Odinga has never, and we will not allow him to ever become a government project. my colleague Senator Linturi, that is not right. Because Raila Odinga is known to have stood firm to fight for democracy in this country. You cannot all of a sudden forget the history. You know, history is there to guide us into the future. He stood firm. He is fighting hard for the people to be able to ensure that everyone gets their rights. Now, let me try to demystify what Raila Odinga is talking about when he talks about everyone will be given some money to be able to operate. It is different than this thing they are calling bottom-up. Is it called bottom-up or bottom-down approach?
Bottom-up.
Bottom-up. Because as a government, even historically, if you look at the Great Depression, what happened during the Great Depression? The government created demand for services. What did they do? They put money into circulation. They help people. They came up with social programs. So what Raila Odinga is trying to explain to the people, maybe just the terminology is what people are not really getting, and sometimes economics, talk to any economist out there. They will tell you that there's something called demand-driven economics, which is when there is a problem after a pandemic, because what is happening in this country, we are reacting to the effect of this pandemic worldwide. You know, the government create demand for services. How do you do that? You ensure there is a lot of money in circulation. I was not buying the idea that William Ruto was talking about, you know, setting aside 100 billion shillings to create 4 million jobs, because it did not. It did not make any sense. What Raila Odinga is talking about in terms of demand-driven economics is that, one, we will close all the loopholes of corruption. There's a lot of money we lose in corruption. Once and I believe he will. I strongly believe that he'll be able to close those loopholes. Once you close those loopholes, you have more money in circulation. You have government entities that have been devolved. You do not allow, because I said, I still stand with Raila Odinga, and I am in the opposition because I'm saying what NMS is doing is illegal, and we will not stop until we see that those people who
What is NMS doing that is illegal?
Last week, for crying out loud, last week NMS, you know, created something they are calling Nairobi Revenue Services. Senator Linturi will tell you here that when I sat with him at the Park Committee, we had a problem with Jambo Pay. When Jambo Pay came in and they owned a system that the government was not in control. NMS has been transferred function. Article 187 subsection 2B still gives the constitutional responsibility to the county government. Now, if Governor Kimemia now decides that he wants to bring a caretaker, he says, I have too many functions, I want to concentrate on this. I want to transfer these functions to the national government. What Governor Kimemia will do is that he will draft all the services. He will develop a scope of work.
Okay.
Give it to whatever agency that he has developed and say, please carry out these functions. Once you carry out this function, give me a status report. Once you give me a status report, I will put you in my system as a drawdown system, and you will get more money to continue other services. Okay. But what is happening now is at the moment KRA and NMS own this system, that system will be a stranger because the Governor Kimemia here will not be owning that, and he's supposed to be able to control it. So, in a nutshell, let me put it this way.
You said
yes,
that I'll get back to, because
we will get back to that. But let me finish the question that you had asked me. You asked a question.
But before that one, Chairman, there were some political issues that were mentioned by.
I'm dealing with them.
Governor Kimemia.
Can I finish? I remember everything, Governor. One, I want to, disabuse this belief that Raila is a government project. Okay. Raila has never been a government project, and he will never be a government project. You asked me about all these crowds of people going into this meeting. You said, what next? Let me tell you. Kenyans are destitute. Kenyans have suffered a lot because of unemployment. In fact, in most cases when you go, we politicians are guilty of the fact that when we go to urban centers, we block the road on this side and we block the road on this side. Naturally, everyone will be able to stand there and listen to us. But the difference is this. When you go on a weekend, if you traverse Nairobi County on the weekend, you will not find people. When you go on a weekend, people are out there to listen. They want to hear what you're telling them. We are not there because I've heard the Vice President talking about, the Deputy President talking about, these people have different political parties. You know, sometimes, gentlemen, you know, we are students of history. What happened? How did Jubilee come in place? All political parties were merged together. There's no problem with the people on the coast sitting together and forming their own party. There's no problem with anyone forming their own party. And then all of a sudden you come and sit down and say, these are the ideas that we subscribe to.
All right,
can we agree on the way forward?
All right, Governor, I want you to respond to this question because you hosted Raila Odinga in your county.
Yes.
And you've held meetings with him, including what happened at the Mount Kenya Foundation.
Yeah.
I just want to know, what is Raila Odinga's agenda? And when he proposes that he's going to seal corruption loopholes, what is he going to do that hasn't been done now?
Good question, but I wanted to also respond to what Lintuli said. Because he said that you know, the mountain had endorsed one side and they're not willing to listen to, it's as if they're fixated on somebody. It is not true. The mountain is listening, and they're listening to Baba very seriously, let me tell you. And they know him for many years. So fine, he has been demonized in the past. We said that was politics. He is somebody who is known for reforms, both political, structural, economic reforms as a prime minister, as an opposition person. And I want to agree with my brother here. Raila is not a government project at all. And I don't think he would want to be a government project at all. And he is somebody who stands on his own feet. He has championed reforms that nobody in this country can ever boast about championing, such whether governance, political structure, and so on. So he's not a government project. In fact, we thought the VP would have been the government project because he's a deputy president. It was easier now for you know, but when the fallout with the boss took president, it became very difficult to continue that agenda. So the other issue I want to mention is that we are not intimidated, Linturi. Nobody has intimidated us to support Baba. I'm supporting Baba as Governor Kimemia with the people of Nyandarua advising me, we want another option, bring Bamba. Before I brought him, people came to my office and said, why is Bamba bypassing Nyandarua? Bring him. He has been to Nakuru, he has been to the eastern side, bring him to Nyandarua. So I brought him to Nyandarua. So no governor is intimidated. We are not criminals. And apart from governors, there are also senators supporting Baba. There are MPs supporting Baba. There are also independent people supporting Baba. So it's not an issue of supporting Baba because you are threatened by KRA or by the EACC or by DCI. There are those who will support Baba because of the policies that he stands for and also the fight against corruption. I don't think there is anybody in this country who has fought corruption better than what Baba has done.
That's what I'm asking Governor Kimemia.
And what he says is very true, because you remember when they came with Mzee Kibaki, the third president, we removed donors from the budget. Just see the loopholes in the tax evasions. Because you find what comes in, maybe it's only half. Then the other half is being consumed by through illegalities. So we just need to make sure that taxes in Kenya are accounted for 100%.
Because you've worked in the...
and once you do that, you don't even need to
allow me to put this
get other money from other places.
You have worked with the government for a very long time, including as secretary to the cabinet and head of public service.
Yes.
And a lot of money we get reports that is stolen, but also through a legal system like IFMIS. So what are these proposals that, as a person who supports Raila Odinga, that you'll be putting on the table that haven't worked under President Kenyatta and President Kibaki, both of whom you served?
It's very easy. As I said, when we came in after the second president. And you know how corruption was at that time. And I don't go back to history. But it was possible within the first 2 years to seal all those loopholes, because they are known. Accounting for Kenya's money, and because all the tax, the tax chains are known in this country. You just need to seal them. The bills in Kenya Power that are shared between private sector and the government, just seal them. Make sure all the money comes in. You cannot have then institutions that are almost monopolistic collapsing, just because you're not accounting for those monies. So you just need to put effective controls and leadership and reforms. Because we did it, and it worked, and there was a lot of money in the government. So this can be brought back. It can be brought back. It's not rocket science. These are things that can be done, and that's why I'm supporting.
Right. Okay.
Homes across.
Okay, Governor. Senator Lintuli, the biggest question that, as you respond, the biggest question that Kenyans have been struggling with is all these promises. They sound pretty Interesting. But how do you make them a reality come September 2022? Whether it's your aspirations that win the election or other candidates?
Before I get to that, you know, corruption is such a very broad word that requires to be understood in the right context. And so that at least we're answering to the same question. And I think when Kimamia served as head of public service, the current end of public service was PS. And I remember him saying very well one time that 30% of the Kenyan budget is stolen. That's what Kenya said. I think, I hope Nani will remember, that the Auditor General Tom Oukom, before leaving exit, came with another new term called budgeted corruption. That's why I want to challenge him, tell us how these things will be dealt with. There is corruption that is budgeted. And what he's trying to explain by this, when he appeared before us, is where the executive itself will put in money with an idea of passing it through the system for it to be taken at the end of the tunnel after it has been cleansed. And the example that he gave us that particular time, and I hope Mheshimiwa Olekina, because we are in the same committee with you, you remember how money was budgeted to buy an existing government land, purporting to put up a school. That money was paid, and the money was withdrawn. And that is what has been famously been called the Ruaraka land scandal, because that land was never available for acquisition, and was public land, and how that money was factored. And by the way, it is us who stopped as Committee of Park. I was the vice chairman. Olekina was a member. We wrote and told and advised the National Assembly to withdraw that money because already was in the budget, because we had realized that money was being lost. Last week, I have gone to check as a member of the Committee on National Security on the grabbing of the land in Kiambu, right? So many things have happened. So when the National Assembly and the Senate has done so well in terms of giving recommendations on what should be done to stop corruption or to do other things. So but the executive has never had the goodwill.
We are speaking the same language in Tuli.
Yes.
That we know, we know the channels of corruption, and what Baba is saying, I'll stop them.
I'll close them.
I'll stop them. Because it's true. Whether you call it budgeted corruption, it is an illegality. It's a criminality.
But now what we are saying is that when you look, because Baba is my very good friend.
Okay.
And when nobody would take Baba in Meru,
you did.
I did in my house. And all of them, including our own governor at that time, saying Mithika was signing his political obituary. And I'm the one who hosted him when he was prime minister. So I have no problem with Baba, but I have different with her ideologically, because now when you look at the people surrounding him and people that are saying will assist him fight corruption, are the same people that have written Kemsa, that have scandals in land and others.
Let's make